Today's video is part one of a two-part vlog. We're building an epic holiday party board, and I have a very special guest joining me today. This is part one of a two-part vlog, so you'll have to come back tomorrow to see the finished product. Hello, everyone. Well, welcome to day 8 of the 12 days of Christmas. I have a very special guest here with me today. Most of you know him as Benjamin Buttons because he continues to age backwards, but his name is Phil. He's my husband. We're celebrating our 22nd
22 years.
wedding anniversary this weekend. So happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
He's such a sweetheart. He knows by this time of the series, I start to get really tired. And when I'm tired, my creative juices just don't flow. And so he redid his schedule and decided to spend some time with me today to help me present one of our favorite things to do, which is to make, it's called several things: a charcuterie board, a party board, a meat board. But this is one of those great things that we love to do. Our kids love it, our guests love it, and he is a master at it. Ladies, when I tell you I have been blessed, not only is he smart and creative and funny, he's amazing in the kitchen, and he's very easy on the eyes. So introducing Mr. Benjamin Buttons.
Wow, that's a nice introduction. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for doing this with me today. So he wrote out some talking points. This is just going to be like me and him in the kitchen doing what we normally do together, except we're going to be on camera, and we're going to share with you his top tips on how to present the ultimate party board for your guest.
In my opinion, because there's so many different ways to do it. So it's just my thoughts as far as how you present it, how you get things ready, temperatures, and just everything that you have to get prepared, and then timing. That's the biggest thing, is like how long is it going to take to get this done. You can't do it 10 minutes before company's coming over.
Right.
You could, but you just have to get some things prepped first. So
you want to start there? That might be a good point to start. We've stopped by sanitation station, so we're all washed up and everything's cleaned off. So do you want to talk a little bit about prep first?
Yeah, we'll talk about the board first, because that's a big thing, is the actual board. People really like to put these wood boards down, and they're very nice. They look beautiful, but you always want to use something like a parchment paper or something that just kind of divides meat and cheeses from that porous area. So we got something that's very similar in color, so we won't take away from that, and we'll put that down, and then get started with just starting to lay out the breads and cut up the cheeses, and just really go to town.
We've had this board for a while, and I mean, you could see like the ink before we learned how to use it properly kind of got it started to run. But this is it's a lazy Susan board. It's always a big hit. I see these places like Home Goods a lot of times this year, but any of your specialty cooking stores, Sur La Table, Williams Sonoma, you should be able to find something like this. And again, it's a hit.
Yep. All right. So we'll start by putting down the paper. I usually have,
and what are you using here? What kind of paper is this?
just an unbleached parchment paper.
Okay.
So
Let me move my champagne glass. We are celebrating today.
yes. All right. Put these down.
And you can find this pretty much anywhere, right?
Yep. This was
There's no special place you have to go to
nothing
get.
special.
Okay.
All right. So we start off with the bread, and the one suggestion is get the bread the same day that you're doing it, because if you let good, nice bread sit for too long, it becomes something else. And
Have an example of that?
right now, this is just used for, she hits me upside the head with it sometimes, and that's about it. So, but the other portion that you can use it for is, these are good for just standing up and elevating the actual bread and various things that you're going to put on the board. So it's a little stale bread, but it'll go nicely when you start stacking things. So
you did cut off a piece of the bread that you got the other day for this?
Yep. I cut off a piece of that because I was like, okay, I'm going to use that and lay the soft bread on top of it.
Oh,
so it just kind of lays up, because it's going to be a big and I'll let you kind of
Okay.
operate that.
Okay.
And we put the bread generally in the back, so there's and elevate it so that it kind of goes downstream when you're looking at it. So hopefully that's gonna work out well.
Okay.
Yeah, bring it up a little higher.
Yeah. See, he does a way better food presentation than I do.
You do good.
In fact, he actually taught me how to cook. I didn't even know how to cook when we got married.
No, you knew how to cook.
No, I knew how to make my
You just didn't want to cook. You knew how to cook. You were just like, that's not.
I knew how to make crock pot meals, and you were like, oh, I don't really like these. And then you started to like them because they're delicious.
And you made them, so I was like, okay. Jeez.
While he's doing some things, I wanted to talk through like one of the best ways to use these for me is on Thanksgiving Day. Like when you're in the kitchen cooking, you've got a ton of things to do, and people start arriving, people are smelling all the good smells, and they're starting to get hungry. A board like this is perfect because, it'll take the munchy edge off, but not have everyone super full before, dinner's ready. And the other cool thing about these boards is that you can theme them however you want. Like, we like charcuterie boards to enjoy with our wine, so ours usually involve a lot of cheese and olives and sausages, fatty meats, things that pair well with wine. But you could easily change that up to like a dessert board or a fruit board.
We're gonna do a little bit of a dessert board separately.
Okay.
Just so we kind of separate the salty, savory board versus something that may be after dinner.
Okay.
So we'll try that.
Awesome. So what are you planning for this board mostly?
It's going to be meat, cheese, and accompaniments. So we'll have things like grapes and cheeses and the hard meats, and I think that'll fill up the board pretty quickly.
Is this sourdough bread?
Yes. So
yum, that's my favorite.
on the sourdough bread side, we get a sourdough bread that from Sprout that basically is it takes 10 minutes to cook, and then it just smells up the house and it smells great. It's warm. Obviously, there's a timing issue as far as when you put it out. You want to keep at least half of the. It already
smells so good.
You want to keep half the loaf kind of just warm while the other half is being eaten. We usually pair this with something like a chili onion crunch.
Oh,
I think that's what it's called. And
there's
that's from where?
For a spread that I get from Trader Joe's. I think this is it, babe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's called Crunchy Chili Onion, and it goes amazing with a bread like this. You have a note here to talk about 3 cheeses, 3 meats, and 3 accompanying snacks.
That's generally the rule. Just if you just say, okay, I need the bare minimum, and I just want to just start with something, and what's recommended is to have at least 3 different type of cheeses, 3 different type of meats, and then the 3 different accompaniments as far as olives or some sort of fruit or something to just to kind of gather and bring in that interest in the board. So that's generally what we start off with. And then I go to the store and I just start picking out more and more stuff. And then before you know it, we have
plenty. We have an island full of snacks. But the other thing that we like to do, we're definitely foodies. And we'll go to different places. There are a couple pretty cool spots around here and get some ideas from our favorite restaurants. So that's another tip. Like when you go, try some of those wine and cheese boards or some of those original boards that they make at those smaller restaurants and get some ideas from there.
Yep, because sometimes things really don't seem like they go together, and then you start. That's the one thing is you start to put things together, and you're like, wow, I didn't really expect that.
Right.
A honey would go with a certain type of meat or a cheese.
Right. Do you want me, babe? I can help you with so you can keep working if you want me.
You're doing a great job. You just continue talking through it.
So are you. I figured I'd work in a little not so newlywed game along the way.
Was that talked about? We didn't talk about that. I don't think that was discussed.
No? Well, I figured, it'd be a good filler.
We got to stick to the script.
All right. Fair enough. Talk about, well, I guess we kind of talked about this already, but flavor profiles, create a list of items for flavor profiles.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? Like, is that what we were talking about earlier with just the sweets or the
Yeah,
meats?
yeah.
Or
You want to have kind of a concept as far as what you want the board to present. Is it something where you're looking for something with more like a little more spice or a little more kind of savory flavor, or just kind of knowing your audience and knowing kind of what they like. Is it more of the the fatty meats or lean meats, and really just kind of focusing on what you want to present at the board, on your board.
okay,
So. Um,
what's your favorite thing to have on our boards?
I would say the honey like obviously sets it off because it's gonna provide some different flavors where you say, okay, I'm gonna take a cracker and taste it one time and then have it with some honey and maybe a piece of cheese, and it just totally changes the flavor profile.
Yeah.
So I think that's one. Obviously the various types of meat. When you're looking for meats, obviously the getting a pack that has several different types of meats is good, but then going to the butcher and saying, okay, I want to slice up specific meats and say, okay, chorizo or something that has some really bold flavor that you can mix with cheese and really make something of it.
Now I noticed you don't have to quit working while I'm talking. I noticed that you're starting the
Back to
board when the base is like breads, crackers. Is there a reason that you're kind of going in this order, or is it just?
Not necessarily. I do start with the bread because I want to cut that up, and then the cheese is going to be cut up, and usually I have a little helper with me
Yeah.
that's very helpful, but also taste testing and making sure that I have everything on the board that's just right. And but that'll be you. But I know you're not going for the food portion, but yeah, it's really like a board. As you start looking at it, and then you start changing things and looking around, saying, okay, the crackers belong here, and we need more color in various places, and it's really just whatever you make of it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What are you gonna do next?
I am going to continue to load the board with some of the starches, and then I'm going to start cutting the cheese, getting the meat prepared, and
All right. And
I don't get to decorate that portion of the board because I came home with today with something that just doesn't.
can I show them?
Yeah, sure.
After 22 years of marriage, I have no idea why on earth he would bring home
Everybody's gonna want to know where you can get that,
a
so
mini
we're gonna save
basket,
that for then.
a miniature shopping cart that actually fully opens.
Oh, that's great.
What?
It's great. Like you know you like that. That's.
No, I don't understand. Like,
We could put cheese in there. We could put a little bit of everything, and just say,
All
okay,
right.
we have our shopping cart.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's gonna do with his shopping cart because I think that was a complete waste of everything. But
That's
one
why
of the things I love about you, baby.
That's why I don't decorate. That's not my. I stay in my lane. One thing I would say, this is an example, from a temperature perspective of what you'll see. So I just took this out the fridge. It's a pepperoni. Temperature is very important with boards because obviously pepperoni has fat in it, and as it goes throughout the day and you're serving it, it's gonna kind of loosen up and it's gonna change the flavor. So with some of your meats and foods, if you're really curious about kind of what it's gonna taste like, make sure you take it out prior. Same with cheeses because cheese is fat also. Let it kind of sit and just get prepared, and then you'll know exactly kind of how it's going to sit and taste.
Now, how will people know on a board like this, like what they should pair with what? Are you putting certain things closer?
That's the great thing about the board is that you kind of let people discover.
Yeah.
You want them to kind of try it, and it becomes a communication point. You say, okay, did you try this? Did you try the balsamic on top of the bread or with
Right.
the cheese? And just really just say, okay, it's a journey. So
Sure.
it really becomes a talking point. I know we had some friends over, a week ago just to kind of test on them, and it was just that they kind of gravitated towards this cranberry
Mm.
soft goat cheese.
Did you talk about that yet?
No, no, we're talking about it now.
All right.
And it was one of those things that became a favorite, and then they started rolling in the different flavor profiles from some of the meats, and said, okay, this is really interesting, and you start to see the favorites, and you say, okay, what do we need to kind of prepare on the back end and have prepped for
Refills.
the refills.
Yeah.
So for the refills, you want to kind of have stuff either in the fridge or off to the side so that you can slide things in pretty quickly. Sometimes cutting up, and putting them on pieces of paper where you can slide those in will make things a lot quicker. So I'm putting on some pretzel bites, little pieces of pretzel that will be able to go with some cheese sauce and a sauce that is mustard.
Do you want me to get the cheese sauce or the mustard sauce?
It's warming up right now.
Oh, okay.
So just to...
I feel like there's more stuff that I could be doing to help.
You're doing great. It's our anniversary. You can just relax.
Well, one thing's for sure, the kids are going to have a heck of a snack board when they get home.
Yep, they won't be asking.
And that's the other thing that I love about this. Like, we've made meals out of these boards before, and Theo, grab that when he comes inside. And everybody is pleased because there's a little something for everyone. All right, so one of the biggest hits on these boards, year after year, time after time, is his candied bacon. Now, if you've ever been to, what's that restaurant? First Watch?
Mm-hmm.
First Watch and had their $1 million bacon. This is what he makes, but it's like 10 times better. So
we'll see you back here tomorrow for part 2, and Benjamin Buttons will be sharing how he makes the most delicious bacon ever. Until then, love and peace.